Today's topic is biogeochemical cycle. It is a pathway by which a chemical substance is turned over or moves through the biotic and abiotic compartment. Hi, I am Manti and today we will discuss about phosphorus cycle, nitrogen cycle and carbon cycle. Before we start our topic, we have to know that what is biogeochemical cycle and what is its importance for nature. So, the definition of biogeochemical cycle is the flow of chemical element between living organism and the environment. It is important for nature because it helps us to explain how the planet conserves matter and uses energy. There are 6 most common elements which is associated with organic molecule, that is carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus and sulfur, which take a variety of chemical form and may exist for long period in the atmosphere or in land or in water or beneath the earth's surface. The most well and important biogeochemical cycles are carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, nutrient cycle, oxygen cycle, phosphorus cycle, sulfur cycle, rock cycle, water cycle. But in this video I am going to discuss about the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle and phosphorus cycle as well as sulfur cycle. So, there are many biogeochemical cycles that are currently being studied for the first time as climate change, and human impacts are drastically changing the speed, intensity and balance of its relatively unknown cycles. Next is about carbon cycle. It is the second most abundant element in organism. It is present in all organisms and some molecules of it that are not organic, such as carbon dioxide. Its main role is the structure of biomolecule. It contains some energy and many of these compounds from dead plants and algae have fossilized over millions of years, and these are known as fossil fuels. In atmosphere, carbon dioxide gas is present and is dissolved in water. But by the process of photosynthesis, this carbon dioxide gas is converted to organic carbon, and by the process of respiration, this organic carbon back into carbon dioxide gas. This carbon dioxide is the basic building block that autotroph use to build high energy component such as glucose. Most of the terrestrial autotrophs obtain their carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere, while marine autotrophs acquire it in the dissolved form, that is, in the form of bicarbonate. On the other hand, carbon is passed from the producer to higher trophic levels through a consumption. For example, when a cow eats grasses, here cow is the primary consumer and grasses are the producer. It obtains some of the organic molecule which is originally made by the plant's photosynthesis. This organic compound can then be passed to higher trophic levels such as humans. At each level, organisms are performing respiration, a process in which organic molecules are broken down to release energy. As these organic molecules are broken down, carbon is removed from the food molecules in the form of carbon dioxide, that which again enters into the atmosphere. Thus, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of respiration, though it is then converted through a biogeochemical cycle. That is, when the movement of carbon through land, water and air is complex, and in many cases it occurs much more slowly than the movement between organisms. Then this carbon is stored for longer period in what they are known as carbon reservoirs, which includes the atmosphere, bodies of liquid water, ocean sediments, soils, rocks, or in fossil fuels or in Earth's interiors. At the time of the exchange of carbon between the atmosphere and the water reservoir, some of this ion combine with calcium ion in the seawater to form CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, which is a major component for the shell of marine organism. But on land it is stored in the form of a organic carbon. The main important step for the carbon cycle is the photosynthesis, decomposition, respiration and then combustion. So, the first step is photosynthesis. It is a physiochemical process by which photosynthetic organisms use light energy to drive the synthesis of organic compound. In the process of photosynthesis, this photosynthetic organism first convert light energy into a chemical energy in the form of NADPH and ATP. On the later stage, these chemicals are used to reduce carbon dioxide into organic compound, which is also known as carbon dioxide fixation. So, photosynthesis is the basic of life on Earth because it is the primary source of food on Earth. This photosynthesis is carried out by many different organisms or by only photosynthetic organism. This can be ranging from photosynthetic bacteria to a green plants. These photosynthetic organisms may be oxygenic or anoxygenic on the basis of their oxygen duration during photosynthesis. Oxygenic photosynthetic organism releases molecular oxygen via the light dependent oxidation of water to molecular oxygen during photosynthesis. Whereas anoxygenic photosynthetic organism do not produce any oxygen, whereas oxygenic photosynthetic organism produce oxygen. Oxygenic photosynthetic organisms include both eukaryotic as well as prokaryotic, whereas anoxygenic photosynthetic organisms include only and only prokaryotes. So, there are two stages of photosynthesis. One is occur in presence of light and another one is occur in absence of light, which is also known as Kelvin cycle or carbon fixation cycle. Thus, the Kelvin cycle does not occur in all photosynthetic organisms, but some anoxic photosynthetic organism can use other carbon fixation pathway such as reverse TCA cycle, which we mainly seen in green sulfur bacteria and the hydroxypropanoate pathway in green non-sulfur bacteria. Thus, although the Kelvin cycle is the most important carbon fixation cycle in most photosynthetic organisms, but other carbon fixation pathways are also important. So, with carbon dioxide and water in the atmosphere, photosynthesis produces sugar like glucose. This is the plant material that plants synthesize on their own. Next step is decomposition. So, it mainly includes photooxidation, leaching, communication and mineralization. Decomposition is the process of breaking down plants. Over vast period of time, layers of sediment build on each other because of the pressure and heat from within the earth crust. For example, coal, oil and natural gases are from the common fossil fuels. Over the long term, the decomposition of dead matter generates this fossil fuel product. It can be in the form of a aerobic or in anaerobic. Next step is respiration. You and I are both made up of carbon. We consume plants, but we also breathe in the air, which is carbon in the form of a carbon dioxide. In other words, these plants use solar energy to break apart this same carbon dioxide in the air. Through photosynthesis, it uses the same carbon for plant material, in turn releasing oxygen again. Next step is combustion. We all know that our cars use energy and releases by burning fossil fuels, and carbon is also a pollutant as carbon dioxide gas. We extract fossil fuels. Combustion involves burning them to release energy. But a byproduct of combustion is that it can release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So this is all about carbon cycle. Today what we have learned, that carbon cycle from the atmosphere and then into plants and living things. But the distinction between the short-term carbon cycle is that this cycle takes millions of years to come full cycle. Instead of carbon converting into sugar, this carbon is repurposed into fossil fuel like coal. When plants are buried and compacted over millions of years, they become hydrocarbons. But when we drive our gas-powered car, we tap into Earth's carbon reservoir, which is deposited hundreds of millions years ago. There, fossil fuels are released into the air as a carbon dioxide and water vapor. It may stay in the atmosphere for a while, but eventually plants consume it during photosynthesis, so that some weight from the tank of gasoline get converted into wood or plant material by the process of photosynthesis. So this is all about carbon cycle. Next is about nitrogen cycle. In the environment, nitrogen exists in both inorganic and in organic form. In inorganic form, it exists as a nitrogen, ammonia and nitrite. But in organic form, it exists as a ammonium acid, nucleic acid. These forms undergo different transformation, changing from one form to another by physical and biological processes. It has three main important steps, that is ammonification, nitrification and denitrification. First of all, biological nitrogen fixation takes place. It is the biosynthetic process of reduction of molecular nitrogen into ammonia. This process is performed by the nitrogen fixing organism. All nitrogen fixing organisms are mostly prokaryotes. So now ammonification. Most of the nitrogen in the soil exists in organic form. When organic nitrogen is converted into ammonium ion by the bacteria or fungi, is known as ammonification. Next step is nitrification. Here, the oxidation of ammonium ion to nitrite and subsequent oxidation of the nitrite to nitrate is known as nitrification. It is carried out extensively by the prokaryotic organism, mostly by Nitrospira, Nitrobacter or Nitrococcus species. So, here the first step is nitrification, is the oxidation of ammonium ion to nitrite. This step is carried out by the nitrifying bacteria of the genus Nitrosomonas, Nitrospira or the Nitrococcus species. And then the second step is the oxidation of the nitrite to nitrate. This step is carried out by the nitrifying bacteria of the genera Nitrospira, Nitrobacter or the Nitrococcus. Next step is denitrification. This is the process of the conversion of nitrite into nitrogen by anaerobic denitrifying bacteria, and the process is known as denitrification. These bacteria use nitrite rather than oxygen as an electron acceptor during their respiration. In this case, nitrate is reduced and it can produce nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide and finally nitrogen. So, denitrification can only be performed under anaerobic condition. This process is performed primarily by the heterotrophic denitrifying bacteria. It may be Paracoccus denitrificans or various Pseudomonas. Although nowadays some autotrophic denitrifiers are also been identified. For example, Thiobacillus denitrificans is also reported. So this is all about the nitrogen cycle. We all know that nitrogen is the most abundant element in our atmosphere and is crucial for our life. Nitrogen is also found in soil and plants, in the water we drink or in the air we breathe. It is found. It is also essential for our life, or it is a key building block of DNA or RNA, and it determines our genetic material. and it is also essential for the plant growth. So, nitrogen is important. The delicate balance of substances that is important for maintaining life is an important area of research. And the balance of nitrogen in the atmosphere is no exception. When plants lack nitrogen, they become yellowed with stunt growth and it can produce small fruits or flowers. Farmer may add at that time, that is nitrogen containing fertilizers, to increase the production of their crop. Without nitrogen fertilizer, scientists estimated that we can lose our 1/3 of our crop. So, we need to know how much nitrogen is necessary for plant growth, because too much can pollute waterways or hurting aquatic life. So, nitrogen is the key element for human as well as for plants. For human, nitrogen is the key element in the nucleic acid, that is for DNA or RNA, which is the most important of all biological molecule and a crucial for all living things. Next is about the sulfur cycle. Sulfur is a component of a couple of vitamins and is essential metabolites, and it occurs in two amino acids, that is cysteine and methionine. And this sulfur also constitute of lipoic acid, coenzyme A, thiamine pyrophosphate, glutathione, biotin, adenosine 5-phosphosulfate, 3-phosphoadenosine. So, these are the some constituents of the sulfur, and the deficiency of the sulfur it shows chlorosis in young leaves, elongated spiny and a woody stem. So, it is a yellow, brittle, tasteless, colorless and odorless non-metal. It is present in all kinds of protein. Plants directly absorb sulfur containing amino acids such as methionine, cysteine or cysteine. Next, this sulfur is released into the atmosphere by the burning of fossil fuel, volcanic activities and the decomposition of the organic molecule. Or in the other hand, on land, sulfur is stored in underground rocks and minerals. It is released by precipitation, weathering of rocks and in geothermal vents. Now, the sulfur is released by the weathering of rocks. Then, the sulfur comes in contact with air and then converted into sulfates. And then these sulfates are taken up by the plants and microbes and are converted into organic form. And then this organic form of sulfur is then consumed by the animal through their food chain. And thus this sulfur moves into the food chain. And when the animal die, some of the sulfur is released by the decomposition, while some other the tissue of the microbes. There are several natural sources such as volcanic eruption, evaporation of water and breakdown of organic matter in swamps that release sulfur directly into the atmosphere. Thus, this sulfur falls on earth then with rainfall. Now, about the steps of the sulfur cycle. That is, first step is decomposition of organic compound. Second one is oxidation of hydrogen sulfide to elemental sulfur. Third one is oxidation of elemental sulfur, and the fourth one is reduction of sulfates. First one is decomposition of organic compound. That is, here protein degradation releases amino acid that contains sulfur. These sulfates are reduced to hydrogen sulfide by the action of the desulfotomaculum bacteria, and the second one is the oxidation of the hydrogen sulfide to elemental sulfur. Here hydrogen sulfide oxidizes to produce elemental sulfur. Here certain photosynthetic bacteria from the families of Chloriobaceae or Chromaticeae initiate the oxidation process. And the third step is oxidation of elemental sulfur. Here elemental sulfur present in the soil and cannot be utilized directly by the plants. Therefore, it is converted into sulfates by the action of the chemolithotropic bacteria. And then the fourth step, that is reduction of the sulfates. Here sulfates are reduced to hydrogen sulfide by the help of the Desulfo-vibrio sulfonicans. These occur in two steps. Firstly, the sulfates are converted to sulfides by either help of the ATP, and secondly, the reduction of sulfide to hydrogen sulfide. So, this is all about the sulfur cycle. What is sulfur cycle? That it is the movement of the sulfur through the geosphere and the biosphere. Sulfur is released from rocks through weathering and then assimilated by the microbes and plant. It is then passed up by the food chain and assimilated by the plants and animals and released when they decompose. So this is all about the sulfur and its cycle. Next is about phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is a chemical element which is found on earth in numerous compound forms such as phosphate ion, located in water, soil and sediments. That is why people often apply phosphate fertilizer on their farmland. Animals absorb phosphate by eating plants or plant eating animals. So, it is essential element for nutrients for animals and plants. It plays a critical role in cell development and is a key component of molecule that store energy such as ATP, DNA and lipids. Insufficient phosphorus in the soil can result in decreased crop yield. The various availability of phosphorus in soil to plants depend on several reversible pathways. That is, it depends on bacteria, absorption and pH of the environment. Bacteria convert plants' available phosphate into organic form that are then not available to plants. Although other bacteria make phosphate available by mineralization, the contribution of this is very small. Next, for absorption, inorganic phosphorus can be chemically bound to soil particles, making it unavailable to plants. And for pH, inorganic phosphorus compound need to be soluble to be taken up by the plants. This depends on the acidity of the soil. If the soils are less than pH 4 or greater than pH 8, then the phosphorus start to become tied up with other components and make it less available to plants. There are some key steps for the phosphorus cycle. That is, over time rain and weathering cause rocks to release phosphate ions and other minerals. This inorganic phosphate is then distributed in soil and water, and then plants take up inorganic phosphate from the soil, and then the plants may then be consumed by the animals. Once in the plants or animals, the phosphate is incorporated with organic molecule such as DNA. When the plants or animals dies, it decays and the organic phosphate is returned to the soil. And then within the soil, this organic form of phosphate can be made available to plants by bacteria that break down this organic matter to inorganic form of phosphorus. This process is known as mineralization, and then this phosphorus in soil can end up in waterways and eventually in oceans, when there it can be incorporated with sediments over time. So, phosphorus cycle involves the movement of the element phosphorus as it circulates through the living and non-living portion of the biosphere. So, many of the chemical that is found on the earth are vital to the process and system of living organism. Unlike this oxygen and carbon, phosphorus follows complex pathway. So, it circulates through the earth's soil, rocks, water and atmosphere, and also through the organism that inhabit this many ecosystem. So, the elements or minerals are stored in discrete part of the earth's ecosystem called a compartment. For example, it may include or the plants in the forest or a certain species of the trees, or even the leaves or needles of the trees. So, the chemical elements reside within the compartment in certain amount or pools. A basic description of biogeochemical cycle involves the following nutrients in the form of the minerals or elements from the pool to pool through the multi-sites of ecosystem compartments. So, this is all about the phosphorus cycle. So this is all about today. In this session, I have tried to describe about the biogeochemical cycle. There are mostly myriad cycles in nature, but among them I have described about carbon cycle, phosphorus cycle, sulfur cycle and nitrogen cycle. Thank you for watching.